Hi, and welcome back to another daily dose of anime recaps. In this episode, we shall be covering the first 4 episodes of the newly released anime in Spectre. For years, yokai have hidden and coexisted with humans. These yokais are spirits that have mostly been peaceful, but some of them have risen and are beginning to threaten the long-established peace between these spirits and the human race. Before we begin, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and hit that bell button so you never miss an update from us. A girl is lying on the grass. She wakes up to an unknown voice asking her to be their goddess of wisdom. A few years later, the same girl approaches a boy outside a hospital who doesn't recognize her, but she tells him that she saved his life. A few years ago at the same hospital, the girl saved the boy from falling. She looks at the boy and seems fascinated by him. She believes it's love at first sight. In the current timeline, the boy recognizes her. She introduces herself as Kotoko Iwanaga. The boy, whose name is later revealed to be Kurou, looks baffled by her as she tells him that she is aware about his breakup with his girlfriend, Saki-san. A few years back, Kotoko was heartbroken as she watched Saki-san and Kurou walk away from her, holding each other's hands. Kotoko inquires about Kurou from a nurse working in the hospital. She tells her that he is a law major and he comes to the hospital to visit his cousin. Kotoko does not look happy after finding out that Saki-san and Kurou have been in a long-term relationship and have marriage plans. She develops a long-distance crush on him, discussing him with the nurses at the hospital. The nurses tell her that Kurou and his girlfriend are no longer together. We are back in the present, where Kurou and Kotoko are on the beach. He does not look pleased with his personal information going around at the hospital. Kotoko asks him if he would like to find someone new in his life. He's not taking the hint. Her one-sided love has taken an obsessive turn. Kurou has reservations about going out with someone so young. Kotoko does not want age to be the complication to keep her away from Kurou, as she has liked him for 2 years. Kurou finds it amusing and validating that a high school girl is asking him out. However, he does not seem sure about jumping into another relationship. Kurou tells her about his breakup. Saki-san and Kurou had gone on a trip where they were walking beside the river. They saw an unearthly creature coming out of the river called a kappa. Kurou says that the creature was terrifying, something that could drag anyone into a river without ever finding their blood-sucked bodies. Kotoko states that kappas are harmless and can be trendy creatures that recommend good sushi places. Kurou continues telling that a body was found in the river, and Saki-san, who had always been cynical about yokai and ghosts, was terrified. Things never went back to normal between Kurou and Saki-san after the encounter with the kappa. She broke up with him and moved away from her new job. Kotoko stops Kurou as he is leaving, asking him to tell her who ran away when they saw the kappa. She tells him that the kappa ran away. Seeing him was Saki-san. Saki-san was terrified of Kurou, telling him that she wasn't aware that he was that kind of a person, while Kurou tries to dismiss Kotoko's theory by saying that kappas don't exist. Kotoko tells him that she knows some about many creatures, including yokai, ayakashi, specters, and demons. Kurou is dumbstruck with the information that she possesses. He asks her what she is after Kotoko reveals that she knows he's terrifying and not normal. Kotoko tells him that she was kidnapped by such creatures when she was 11 years old. A young and terrified Kotoko was taken deep into the mountains where they asked her to be their goddess of wisdom. She was supposed to be their peacemaker, as the majority of those creatures had low intellect and wanted help. She accepted their request. Kurou doesn't believe that creatures from all across the country came to Kotoko to ask for help. She tells him to look at the proof in the newspaper when she was found napping in a park. Tapping at her eye, she tells him that her right eye was gouged out and her left leg was severed. That was the price she had to pay to become a goddess of wisdom. She leaves him behind and sits on a bus. A creature crawls on the roof of the bus. The next second, the creature is asking her hysterically if she's okay, as he is aware of Kurou's reality. He tells her about a creature at the library that she needs to get rid of. She decides to enlist Kurou's help for that. The 11-year-old Kotoko is found injured at a park bench, while the older Kotoko tells about a one-eyed, one-legged god of wisdom called Kubiko. The young Kotoko is rushed to the hospital as she tells the importance of one-eyed gods in literary works and throughout history. The doctors find that her leg is hardened by an acid, and the gouged out eye is almost healed. Her kidnapping is being investigated when she begins to start seeing other creatures. The next day, Kurou does his research on Kotoko. He is surprised to find her waiting for him outside. He tells her that he has verified her story, but there is no proof that she's the yokai's goddess. Abaki Danuki interrupts their conversation, telling her that the library's barrier has been broken. Kotoko talks him into going in with her to the library, since he wants to read about her getting brutally murdered. They reach the library. Kotoko intervenes with the yokai at the library, telling it to maintain the balance between their world and the human world. Kotoko had hoped that the creature would be easy to defeat after he takes a look at Kurou, but that doesn't happen. Kotoko tries to subdue the yokai, but to no avail, as the yokai is aggressively running towards a scared Kotoko, hiding in Kurou's arms. Kurou raises his hand to stop the yokai as he bites his arm off. Kurou's arm grows back as the yokai falls to the ground. Kotoko asks him who he really is. He tells her that he ate 2 different kinds of yokai flesh when he was 11. Kurou is walking in the hospital corridor when Kotoko comes and asks if he is visiting his cousin. He thinks she's stalking him, but she's there for her own checkup. A creature resembling toilet paper crawls out from under her skirt. Walking in the garden, Kotoko feels guilty about involving him in her situation. She reveals to him that his power scares the yokai, and everyone is scared of the unknown. Kotoko has eaten mermaid flesh when he was 11, after which his body always repairs itself. In the books, eating mermaid flesh grants a person immortality and eternal youth. Kurou tries to leave when Kotoko asks him about the other yokai flesh he has eaten. She invites him into the mountains, where she's going to meet the guardian spirit of the area, the giant serpent. Kurou thinks it's dangerous for her to keep being the goddess of wisdom without having any special abilities. Kotoko is satisfied with her special power that allows her to touch and talk to yokai. She asks him to go with her if he's worried about her, as he terrifies yokai. He refuses by telling her that he can't come and he wants to enjoy his pork miso soup at home. Kotoko reaches the mountains and meets the giant serpent. She tells the giant serpent about Kurou, calling him her boyfriend. She had visited him before coming to the mountains, but he refused again. Kurou is watching her talk to the serpent, hiding behind the trees. He has followed her to the mountains. The giant serpent is concerned about a murdered corpse that was found in his swamp. He's looking for an explanation about why a woman came to the swamp to get rid of the body. A moment ago, some hikers had found a body at Sukuna Swamp. The police thought it was murder because the man was stabbed. His name was Hiro Yoshihara, who worked for a construction firm. A woman named Ao Tanio was suspected of committing the murder. She has confessed and the police are gathering evidence. Kotoko believes it's an open and shut case. The giant serpent thinks that something is wrong because the woman seemed like she wanted the body to be discovered. Ao Tanio had told the police that she hoped the serpent would eat the body if she dumped it into the swamp. She must have heard about the serpent as her home was there. Kotoko believes that she wanted the serpent to eat the body, thus achieving her mission of disposing of it. The serpent is skeptical about this explanation. Kotoko begins telling Ao Tanio's story when she had a boyfriend named Yashikazu Machi about 5 years ago. Her boyfriend died in a double suicide with a coworker as he had committed fraud in his company. Ao returned home after being heartbroken. Yoshihara, Machi's colleague, came to apologize to her for killing Machi as he was the one who had committed the fraud. He had come to confess because he was going through a hard phase in his life where everything kept going wrong. He wanted to repent for his crime. Yoshihara wanted to talk to Machi's brother as well, who was busy at the time. With Yoshihara's death, the previous embezzlement case came to light as well, and that's how the police tracked Ao. Yoshihara's body wasn't discovered until 2 days later because it had rained the next day. Ao tells the police that she had thrown the knife into the swamp. Kotoko says that Ao Tanio threw the body in the swamp to protect the real killer because she would have never met Yoshihara alone. Machi's younger brother could be the other person, as Yoshihara had contacted them both. Unable to control his anger, he could have killed him after learning the truth about his brother's murder. Ao Tanio decided to protect him, as she had nothing to live for. Kotoko believes that she had 3 reasons to dump the body in the swamp. One reason was to remove the traces of the real killer from the body. Secondly, to give the killer an alibi. And thirdly, to get all fingers pointed at herself. She had hoped that it would rain so that any tire tracks and other proofs could wash away. The serpent is upset that there wasn't a beautiful girl who was offered as a sacrifice. Kotoko reasons with him that there were 2 ways to make it rain. Either worship the water god like the serpent or make it angry. As he got angry after finding the corpse, it ended up raining the next day, achieving Ao's goal. Kurou has been listening to their conversation the whole time. Kotoko ends the discussion by saying that Ao Tania is the real killer, and her confession is true. She finds Kurou there and is glad that he has come. The serpent asks her about the real real reason behind Aotonio throwing the body into the swamp. The story resumes as Kotoko decides that Aotonio dumped the body in the swamp in the hopes of the police finding something she was looking for. It was something she had thrown there in the past. Kotoko believes that the thing she threw in the swamp is related to her former boyfriend, Machi. As she had found out he was innocent, she might have wanted the thing back. Her theories include that she has thrown the baby she was expecting that was her ex-boyfriend's, as that wasn't a present or pictures that she could have gotten rid of easily. As the Ayakashi regularly clean the swamp, it is highly likely that the corpse or the fetus was pulled out of the trash long ago. The giant serpent is not impressed by the dreadfulness of humans, especially Kotoko's. She laughs at him, amused at her own theories. Kurou questions her if her theories were actually true as they walk toward a taxi. Kotoko thinks that Aotonio actually wanted the serpent to eat the corpse. Kotoko lied to the serpent after hearing Aotonio wondering if the serpent found the corpse in her prison cell. Because the serpent, who is a proud yokai, would have never admitted that he misheard something, Kotoko took advantage of his pride to support her lies. Kurou starts to understand her special skills, realizing that she is smart. However, he advises her to stay away from dangerous situations. A 2-year leap is shown. A man is driving a car on a road, and he finds someone in his way, causing him to swerve his car and fall into the river. 2 police investigators are discussing this case as the boy has changed his statement. His story first involved a faceless girl carrying a steel beam wearing a flashy and frilly dress who appeared in front of his car. His current story is the complete opposite, involving a puppy that jumped in front of the car. Yumihara, the policewoman, talks about Steel Lady Nanase, an idol who had died recently when a steel beam fell on her. She believes that it was her ghost that had caused the accident. The police had gotten many complaints in the past by people complaining that they had seen or were almost attacked by Nanase. No one wants to appear superstitious and admit that they believe in ghosts, especially the police. A theory circulated that someone is dressing up as Nanase and committing these crimes. She realizes that Terada-san wants her to focus on real crimes and not overthink about the ghost. Yumihara is Saki-san, Kurou's ex, who broke up with him after encountering the kappa. She remembers watching Kurou heal after getting several injuries. Back at the riverside all those years ago, Yumihara and Kurou stood in front of the kappa when she realized that her boyfriend is the real monster. Yumihara is suffering from depression as she has started to live in constant fear and anxiety. Kotoko falls on her as she is walking alone. Yumihara thinks that she is odd because she makes graphic jokes. She starts wondering about her age. Kotoko advises her to run away. She seems confused. The road darkens as a figure walks towards them. Yumihara finds out that it's Nanase. She doesn't want to deal with any more ghosts. Yumihara decides that she can't run away from every yokai, as running away from the kappa and Kurou has caused severe depression in her life. Nanase gets ready to hit her car as she charges towards her. She dodges the steel beam, but finds that she can't harm Nanase as she is a ghost. Kotoko tackles Nanase as her prosthetic leg becomes detached. She can touch the yokai and is able to kick Nanase in the face. Nanase flees from there as a hurt Kotoko and Yumihara watch. Yumihara wonders who she is since she witnessed her kicking a ghost. She asks Kotoko how she could kick the ghost. She suspects that she is yokai as well. Kotoko answers that she is somewhere in between. As she puts on her prosthetic leg, she asks her to forget everything she saw today and commends her bravery. She reassures her that she will take care of Steel Lady Nanase. She wants to leave as soon as possible, telling her that she doesn't want to involve the police. She isn't aware that Yumihara is a policewoman until she identifies herself and asks her to come back with her to the police station so she can treat her injuries. Yumihara is upfront with Kotoko, telling her that there have been incidents reported that Nanase is committing crimes around the city. Kotoko finds out that she is Saki-san and asks her to confirm it. She laments saving her because she didn't know this information. Upon Yumihara's inquiry, Kotoko formally introduces herself as Kurou's current girlfriend. Yumihara clenches her fist to throw a punch at her. Saki-san brings Kotoko back to her apartment where she asks her about herself. Kotoko tells her about their first meeting at the hospital. She doesn't think that Kotoko is Kurou's type, calling her previous statement false. Kotoko takes offense with her reasoning. She believes that Kurou talked to Kotoko out of depression after his cousin passed away. Kotoko shows her a picture of her with Kurou, trying to legitimize her claim. Yumihara is not convinced by looking at those pictures, saying that he seems uninterested in all of them. Frustration is obvious on Kotoko's face when she hears this. Yumihara starts working on fixing coffee as she asks about Kurou. Kotoko does not leave the opportunity to tell her that she is in in no rush to find a job since they didn't get married. Yumihara cannot shake off the possibility of Kurou not being a human from her mind. Kotoko agrees that they are both similar, as they are human-like, but not exactly humans. Kotoko tells her that she is the goddess of wisdom to yokai. Sipping hot coffee, Kotoko asks about the investigation regarding Nanase. Yumihara tells her that the detectives are doing their work, but Nanase was far more violent than she expected. She doesn't think it advisable to leave her to her own devices for as long as she might commit worse crimes. Kotoko is on the same page, saying that she needs to be dealt with immediately. Kotoko informs her that she has traveled so far to deal with Nanase after the good yokai requested her for help. Good yokai have been living in fear ever since she appeared. The coffee beans get stuck in Kotoko's throat as Yumihara asked her why Kurou hasn't accompanied her when yokais fear him so much. Kotoko makes excuses for him, saying that he had an infectious disease that doesn't allow him to travel. Yumihara is still not convinced. Kotoko admits that Kurou has disappeared, and she hasn't been able to get in touch with him for over a week. She has only received a text from him. Kotoko loses her cool when she starts bragging about her and Kurou's relationship. Both of them have a verbal spat about Kurou. Kotoko reveals that she's not that worried about him and he won't get hurt even after someone tries to kill him. Yumihara finds out that Kotoko already knows about Kurou's peculiar condition and is surprised that she still wants to be with him, something she couldn't do. Kotoko advises her to run away if she comes across Nanase again. Yumihara talks about her fake eye as well, and she reveals that that's what makes her closer to the gods. A giant skeleton, which is probably a yokai, gives Kotoko a lift as she sits on its shoulders, wondering about Nanase. Back at the apartment, Yumihara is researching Nanase. She finds out that her real name was Haruko Nanase, and she became more famous after she died. She was always subjected to comments about her huge breast size, and people never noticed anything about her beyond that. She finally found her big break when she got the part of the main lead in a drama. Yumihara figures that some people might have held grudges against her because of her popularity. She wonders about the series of events that led to her death. She finds a website about Steel Lady Nanase, where a link shows that her father had died after falling down steps to his apartment when her career was on the rise. Suspicions started emerging a few months later about her father's death. Claims were made that she resented her father and had murdered him for his life insurance money. A note was also found about her father's suspicions regarding Nanase wanting to kill him, which was published on every media outlet. Nanase went on a break from her career after that, desiring to make a comeback soon until she found herself in Makurazaki City one day in late January, where she died near her hotel. Yumihara and Terada-san are back at the station, where she tells him that they should not rule out the possibility of Nanase being a ghost. Terada-san agrees that she might have come back as a vengeful spirit, on a mission against society since the accusations hurled at her about her father were never cleared up. He thinks that Nanase is an artificial who roams around in a miniskirt holding a steel beam. He doesn't believe that it's a vengeful spirit because she is roaming around in such a getup. This idea gets Yumihara thinking that she can't convince Terada-san about her being a vengeful spirit. He hands her the investigation report of Nanase's death, telling her that they have to start considering the possibility of her being murdered. Kotoko is also wondering about Nanase, looking at a computer screen. She didn't sense an ability to think in Nanase's ghost the last time she saw her. Nanase's ghost was filled with evil thoughts and vindictive feelings, more like an empty puppet who terrifies the yokai all over the city just by existing. She finds herself on the same website that Yumihara clicked on, and is shocked to see the accuracy of the picture drawn on the first page. It could have been drawn by someone who has seen Nanase, but Kotoko believes it's the opposite, and will be very hard to defeat her if that turns out to be true. She decides that she wants reliable information about Nanase, but she doesn't sound too excited to ask for Yumihara's help. Back at her apartment, Yumihara is reading the report about Nanase's death. She finds out that an old man had found her body buried under steel beams. Her face was shattered by the 5-feet-long steel beam. She couldn't be identified by her dental records, so they took other evidence like cell phone, wallet, and university ID into account. The police ruled it as an accident. She finds that the police put a lot of work into the investigation, probably to save face in the media. She thinks about the statement made by Nanase's older sister as she hears a knock on her window. She's scared, but she finds the courage to draw back the curtain. She finds a yokai waiting for her and is petrified. The yokai introduces himself as the tree spirit Genichiro, who has come there on Kotoko's request. The yokai tells her that Kotoko wants to know about how Nanase died, and if she refuses to assist her, then she will find other yokai like him coming to ask her for help every day. Kotoko is having dinner at a restaurant when a yokai appears to tell her that Steel Lady Nanase has been sighted at a bus stop in the city. She reaches a location and finds Nanase trying to attack Kurou. We'll find out in the next couple of episodes of Spectre, and if you're a subscriber with notifications enabled, you'll find out soon enough.